Hi, my name is Rosemary Killian and welcome to my final video for BA 457. For my 25-minute video, I'm actually going to teach Daniel here how to tack up a horse. So first I'm going to start with just a kind of really quick recap on what I did in my 10-minute video presentation. Then I'm going to actually tack up our horse today, who is the lovely Ditto. And then I'm going to have Daniel as the final step, tack up Ditto all by himself. Alright, so just kind of for a really quick recap from my 10-minute, what do you remember from that, Daniel? You remember what we went over?
Don't stand right behind it,
Yep.
right in front of it, and don't walk under it.
Yes, I know I said that. Please don't ever walk under a horse. So just kind of for a basic recap, what I did in my 10-minute is I explained some basic horse safety. So a couple things is horses have what we call blind spots. So directly in front of a horse and directly behind a horse are places that they can't actually see. So if you need to get from one side of a horse to another, the safest way to do that is to just simply go up behind them. You set your hand kind of on their hindquarters, and then you just walk right behind them. And as you can see, Ditto didn't even flinch. She's totally used to this. This is something she's just been growing up with. So, like I said, that's the safest way to pass by a horse. And then some of the other stuff that I went over were the actual pieces of tack that we're going to be using to tack up a horse. So, first thing is a saddle pad, which they come in a variety of colors, but the shape is about the same, and they look like this. And the saddle pad goes on first. And then the next thing that goes on, of course, is the big heavy saddle, which I'll be explaining in a little bit more detail. And then the third thing, which I actually did hand out in my 10-minute, of course, is going to be the bridle. Alright, so we're actually going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing that you're going to do when you tack up a horse is you're going to take the saddle pad, and I just kind of always like to make sure that, you know, there's no big burrs or anything like that in it. Sometimes you can actually have spiders in the summer that'll crawl up under there, so just kind of make sure that it's clean and everything. So what you're going to do is you're going to go up to your horse, just kind of let him know that you're there, that you're actually going to be doing this for him.
Does that have a front and a back?
You know, most of them do. However, it's not too terribly important. With this one, it is a little bit hard to tell. How you can tell though is just simply by the lettering. So for some of them though, they'll make it a little bit more obvious. They'll have like a little patchwork at the front part of it to just kind of make it obvious. So what you're going to do is take it, when you put it on the horse, you're going to put it higher than it actually needs to go. And the reason for that is once you get the saddle pad on, you're going to kind of slowly adjust it down to where it needs to go. And the adjusting it down part is making sure that all the hairs are going to smooth out so they're not kind of ruffled against the horse. That can cause discomfort to them, etc. So once you get the saddle pad where it needs to go, then you're going to go over and get your saddle. So, a couple little things about the saddle first is, as you can see, the stirrups, they're pretty heavy and cumbersome. So what I like to do with the stirrups is before I actually go to put that on the horse, what you're going to do is you're going to take the stirrup of the opposite side that you're going to be on and put it up over the saddle horn just like that. So what that's going to do, Daniel, is that's just going to ensure that when you actually go to put the saddle on the horse, that the stirrup doesn't swing back down and just hit him in the stomach. And that just causes discomfort to him if it does that. It's not the end of the world if it happens, but it is something that, if at all possible, you'd kind of want to avoid. So, for horses, you're always going to put the saddle on their left side. So, you're going to take the saddle, kind of lift it up high. Okay, didn't quite work. Got to remember with your cinch that you kind of make sure you get that out of the other way. So you're going to just kind of heave it up over like that. And just kind of adjust it. Then the next thing I'm going to do is just make sure that all the little straps aren't up underneath the saddle. Make sure that everything's all smooth and clear. So when you actually put the saddle on the horse, you want to make sure that the very edge of the saddle is going to be lined up with the horse's leg. So about right there. And as you'll see, there's just about an inch between where the saddle pad starts to then where the edge of the saddle is. And that's going to make sure that the saddle is just about correctly lined up. So now we're going to go over to the other side of the horse and actually start to put the cinch on. Alright, so the first thing I like to do is, this is the cinch, and the cinch is the thing that's actually going to hold the saddle onto the horse. And as you can see, this is just a little latch that's used to hold up the cinch, so that way when you're transporting it places, it's not dragging on the ground. So what I do, just kind of undo the cinch and just let it hang for a little bit. Then you can take this stirrup, and then you can just put that back down. And then just make sure that it's about the same, saddle's lined up right where it should be. Alright, so let's go back over here. Oh, good job with that, Daniel. Alright. So, now this part's a little fun. What I like to do is now I like to take this stirrup and just put it up over the saddle horn. And the main reason is it just gives me a little bit more room to work. I can see everything that I need to a lot easier, etc. So, I'm going to reach down. I'm going to grab the cinch. And then this, you normally just pull on it.
Too long.
Yeah, it's extraordinarily long, but they make them longer than you need to, so that way you've got one that's going to fit every size horse. That's fine. If it doesn't want to pull all the way, just kind of undo it a little bit. You want to make sure you have it completely undone. There we go. Okay. So we're going to go back and reach your cinch. And make sure, of course, that it's not twisted. That would definitely cause your horse discomfort. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the very end of this, and you're going to put it through your little metal loop, like that. Then just pull it all the way through. So does that make sense? So see, you've got it through just once. Of course, it's not tight whatsoever. So what you're going to do is take your end again. You're going to put it underneath. So just like that. You're going to put it underneath. Then you're going to pull that tight again. And now you can see it's actually starting to hold it on. And then do the same thing. You're going to go underneath all the loops that you have so far. Like that. Now, I don't like to get it too tight at this point. A good rule of thumb is if you can fit about 4 fingers underneath there, because if you're doing it too tight while you're what this is called cinching up, so putting the cinch on, yeah, there you go. So you don't want it too tight, because if you do it too tight, then it's going to be next to impossible to get your loops through when you're trying to make them.
That makes
So
sense.
you're not going to need to have it too long. On average, about 2 feet of this hanging down is perfectly fine. So I would say this is actually all the loops that we need to do for Ditto. She's got her winter weight on, so don't need too much.
It's warmer than us.
Yeah, no kidding. So then for the final step, what you're going to do is you're going to go through this metal loop again, like so. However, you're not going to go through the bottom loop again. What you're going to do is you're going to create just like that.
Okay.
So then you're going to fold it over like this. And you're going to go up through there.
Okay.
And then can you guess where this goes for the final one?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like tying a tie.
Yep, it goes. It is actually. There you go. It goes right through there. And that, surprisingly, will hold a saddle on if the horse is bucking, doesn't matter what they do. And for this little metal notch here, most people just let it slide. It doesn't really bother anything. Try to put it up though, just so it's a little more out of the way.
Why does the strap have holes in it if that little hook doesn't go through?
Some people will use that, others don't. You don't really need it on to make sure the saddle's secure. So then final step would be to tighten it. You just kind of find your outermost loop but then just pull on it. And Ditto will kind of flinch a little bit. She's fine. So just pull on it a couple times until, yeah, I can fit about 2 fingers in there. So you'll feel that. There you go. Now keep the saddle on. So then when it's tight enough, just kind of pull all of this through. There you go. And now you've got the saddle completely on. And then I normally just put the saddle or the stirrup back down. There you go. That's the saddle. All right, for the final step, I'm gonna do the bridle, but before I put the bridle on, I'm kind of gonna explain it a little bit, because when you put the bridle on, that's something that we can't really take our time with. I can't sit there and slowly explain it to you. And the reason is because when you put the bridle on, the bridle goes on the horse's face, which means that the thing on right now, the halter has to come up. So essentially your horse isn't really gonna be tied anymore, so I don't wanna just have Ditto just kind of chilling there, not really restrained while I'm trying to explain how to put a bridle on. So what you're going to do with the bridle so these long things, remember, are the
stirrup or the reins.
reins, correct.
That's
Good
the
job.
word.
Yep, these are
I
the
knew that was
reins.
the word
So what we're going to do when we bridle a horse is just to keep the reins out of the way. Some people put them on their shoulder. I prefer to just loop them up over the horse. I feel like that's a pretty safe place for them to be. They're out of the way. So to put the bridle on, what you're going to do is this is about how you're going to stand when you put the bridle on.
Okay.
Okay, what we're going to do first though,
And everything's always from the left side of the horse?
yes,
Okay.
everything is always done on the left side of the horse. From pretty much day one, that's where everything is done with the horse, so they grow up used to it. You can, of course, if you need to, do it on the other side, but horses are more comfortable with this side. So what you're going to do is take the halter off and loop it around their neck. This keeps them just a little bit restrained. However, it also gets the halter off of their head, so you can go ahead and put the bridle on. So that'll just kind of keep Ditto a little bit restrained. So I'm going to go ahead and stick the bridle on. So I'm going to get everything as close as I possibly can. I'm going to take my hand like this. I'm going to put it underneath the bit, which is the metal part. And Ditto's pretty good. Just kind of gently put it up towards her mouth. And there you go. Once you get that on, you're going to put the ears through the 2 little ear pieces. There we go. Alright, so once we actually have the bridle on, that's not the end of it. We need to adjust things a little bit. So, let me turn your head a little bit, Ditto. This long strap right here is called the throat latch. And if you remember, pretty easy name to remember because the throat latch goes underneath the horse's throat. So very aptly named. Then what we're going to do is when you tighten the throat latch, it is actually a piece that doesn't need to be very tight. So on average for the throat latch, they say if you can put 1 fist in there. So
Okay.
it needs to be pretty loose. Don't get it really tight so it's up snug against her throat. Then the only other things that you're going to want to check is to make sure that this is the strap that tightens the bit part, so shows how tight the bit will be. This bit's pretty good. You don't want the bit to be so tight to where you can see that it's pulling against her lips. That would be entirely too tight and that would make the horse
That's really
extremely uncomfortable, yeah. But you also don't want it so loose that it's just hanging in the middle of their lip.
Okay.
Either one is going to be uncomfortable. So this is actually perfect the way it is, so I don't see any reason to change it. So after that, you're done. That is what a tacked up horse looks like.
Hooray.
Yeah, I know. All right, so we're gonna quickly untack Ditto, then we're gonna let you try it yourself. To untack them, it's basically just undoing everything that you did. So undo the throat latch. And then to take off the bridle, I just kind of start by putting my fingers right here and slowly sliding it off. And she, as you see, is very excited to get that bit out, and she'll do it all on her own. And then I'm just gonna put that up on her saddle horn, and she's trying to get food. I know. I'm sorry. So then we're gonna put this halter back on.
When I'm doing this, is there any like thing I need to do to make sure I don't like hurt her? Like, does she have really sensitive, some ears or some part that I need to make sure I'm careful with?
It's a really good question. For the most part, no. Like you see, she's pretty okay with her ears. The only thing you might accidentally do is pinch her. I've done that with horses before. Just when you're putting the saddle on, you might pinch a little part of their skin, and they might flinch a little bit, just kind of go, ow, that hurts. But for the most part, they're pretty relaxed.
Okay.
Right
Just don't poke her in the eye.
Alright, so to get the saddle off, kind of undo everything. So we're going to take the stirrup, put it up over the saddle horn, then just kind of undo all the straps that we just did. And then to kind of put this away, you're essentially just going to do the same thing as when we were putting the cinch on. However, you don't do anything with the bottom part. So once you get to about, I don't know, a foot, just loop it back on itself. There we go. Alright, so we're going to go to the other side again. And the reason we're going to go to the other side is just all this stuff dangling. When I pull off the saddle, I don't want to just be dragging that across Ditto's back. So we're going to hook the cinch back up. Then take the saddle or the stirrup and put it back up on the saddle horn. So then take the saddle off, really simple. I always take the saddle off first and then the saddle pad. Some people take them off at the same time, but just to make it a little nicer on them, I try to take it off one at a time. And now we're done. Alright, so do you have any questions before I have you start doing it yourself?
No, but I'm sure I will as we go.
Alright, well, I'd like you to go ahead and get started then.
Okay.
So what's the first thing you're going to do?
Saddle pad.
Yes, that's correct.
And front ways is the way that the riding makes sense.
Yep, correct. So it would be that way.
Right there? Go right?
You can slide it down just a little bit more. There you go. Yeah, and that's a good job remembering to put it up further than you need and slide it down. Alright, so let's get the saddle next.
Okay.
Yep, and that's a good job. Put the stirrup up over the horses, or up over the saddle horn.
Yep.
So then just kind of, I like to count to myself 1, 2, 3, and then just kind of heave it up over them. That's a good job. That was nice and really gentle. I didn't see Ditto visibly flinch or anything like that. You can tell that you did it really gently.
You said about an inch back from there, lining up right with
The leg.
leg.
Yeah, that looks
about right?
really good. Yep.
Okay, cool.
And that's definitely really close. It's a really good job for your first time.
Chew on that all you want
All right, so what's your next step?
to. Go around the other side.
Correct. Good job.
Take it.
Yep. That's a really good job. Yep. Put your hands behind you.
Down there.
All right, you see how it's a little bit tangled? Just kind of
Yeah.
go and pull on it a bit. Perfect.
There.
Yep,
That
see
looks
everything's all straight. It's good.
All right.
Cool. Now let's go around the other side.
Do this one first, right?
Wait. Thing that we could do first to make it a little bit
Oh,
easier.
yeah, put that up.
Yeah, perfect. Good job.
Then do I grab that first, or do I unhook the, or do I pull this out
Whichever
first?
one you prefer, to be honest. I found it easier to just kind of pull all of that down first, just because that way I didn't have two things in my hand.
That's what I was thinking too. And it's safe to reach under the horse like that, because you should never walk under the horse.
Yes, perfectly safe to reach under them. Just make sure that you're not getting too much of your body, any more of your body under there than is necessary.
Okay. Sorry, I'm getting kind of tangled.
Oh, that's fine. As long as you get it untangled, that's good.
Okay. Like that. That's about right.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, good job.
Those are- Alright.
Then you're going to go,
That's right.
yep. So it's going to go underneath the straps that you've already created.
Underneath the straps.
Good job. Yep.
Okay.
And then that's probably the last time we're going to go underneath the bottom of the metal hooks. So
Okay.
now we're going to actually do the little knot that you said was kind of like a tie knot.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through here, and then you're going to have it coming out going this direction.
But I don't tighten it until after I do that?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Tighten it afterwards.
Okay. So it comes out.
Yep.
Sorry, this is a little hard with big gloves on.
Yeah.
Okay. Like this.
Yep.
Okay. And then it spins
That-
around there.
Good job. Yep. And then goes through that side of the
The metal
hook. Yep.
Oh yeah, and I don't tighten it because otherwise it'd be hard to put around there. Right?
Yeah. It's just makes it a little bit easier if you wait, and the saddle's not going anywhere.
Okay. And then it just comes down through.
Do that little hole that you just created. Yep.
Go horse, now you're wearing a tie.
A tie to help tie your saddle on.
Exactly.
All right, that's perfect. Can you tightening it now?
Yeah.
Good job.
And get my fingers in there. Okay. And you said so it's like 2 fingers, right? So, like, is that good? Like that?
Yeah, that's really good. Yep.
Okay. And then okay.
Yeah, that looks good. Perfect. All right. So now I'll put this saddle.
And that just
Just
dangles
stir it
there?
back down. Yep, it dangles there. It's perfectly fine. All right, now let's go get the bridle, and we're ready
Yeah.
for our next step. Did you want to put these other gloves on?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
other
'cause it's
ones.
got little teeny
Yeah. No problem.
things. Much obliged.
This is definitely not the funnest time to learn this. Is when it's like 5 above outside, but
I'm sorry, horse. Feet all
Okay.
frozen.
all right, that'll be fine.
Just think of it as a popsicle.
All right, so remember the first step that you're gonna do?
First step. I remember 2 first steps. I don't remember which one's first.
Either one. You can either put the halter around her neck, or you can put the reins around her neck.
Okay.
Whichever one you prefer.
Those over there, but gentle, so I don't like her with me. 'Cause that would be rude.
Yeah, you don't want her to think that you're beating her.
I do not want to beat her. She's being very patient with me. Now don't try to run away. I know you're gonna stay.
Yeah, good job. Just like you're doing it, do it pretty quick, and that doesn't even give them a chance to put their head down.
Okay, and it doesn't matter how loose this is, right?
No,
It's
it
just-
doesn't matter at all.
She's not getting out of it anyway. Okay. Alright, come here.
All right, so just remember it's going to try to be one fluid motion.
You go like
Yep, get it as close to her mouth as you can.
that. My big old palm out like that.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, good girl.
Good girl, Ditto, and great job, Daniel. That was perfect. Yep, then you're going to put the ears in place.
Okay. And that little tied up thing just goes right in the middle there.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. It's just a decoration kind of thing. Doesn't really serve any function, but just to look pretty.
And
Yep.
then,
And the throat latch part.
okay. And just kind of hook it on.
Yeah, that's
How
good.
tight is it?
Remember how tight it needs to be?
Oh, not very tight.
That's correct. Yep. So what was the little
If you
kind
put
of
a
hint that I
fist
gave?
in there.
Yep, exactly. If you can put a fist in there.
I'm gonna try.
So normally for a lot of bridles, it's actually just going to be the very first hole that you find is perfect for 'em.
Okay.
All right,
Kinda
so let's
fit
take a
close
look
to
and
it.
see how this looks.
Okay.
That looks great to me. That looks perfect. All right, so is there any questions that you had at all, Daniel?
Why are you looking at me like you have a question, horse?
How do you feel that this went for you? It seemed like you did very good to me.
Yeah, you explained it to
Someone wants to play, apparently.
me. Horses are scary.
Someone's
They're
jealous
huge.
they're not in here. That's the thing about horses, though, a little unpredictable sometimes. All right, so Any questions, concerns, comments?
I think I got it. Do I need to untack it too?
No, we're good. I just wanted you. Goal was to just teach you how to tack up a horse, which I'd say you did really well.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you learned something.